Hi, I am Laura Diehl, founder of Grieving Parents Sharing Hope, GPS Hope, and I just have a quick word for you today, hopefully something that will be encouraging to you. One of the things that I share with parents who come to me, grieving parents who have lost a child, is the whole thing about why. Parents want to know why. Why did God let this happen? And, we can be very angry at God, especially if we have prayed protection over our children, believing that God is going to do that. He says in His Word, we claim the promises of God, and we expect Him to fulfill those promises and come through for us, and now our child is gone. And it's okay to be angry with God. It's okay to have it out with God. He can take it. He can handle it. He knew you were going to have all these questions. He knew you were going to be upset and angry with Him. And the thing is, we can ask why, but that doesn't mean we're going to get an answer this side of heaven. There are some questions that we are just not going to get answers to while we're still here on this earth. And we can demand and ask all we want. And I think about kids when they ask why, those younger kids that are constantly asking why, and it's just the answer's never good enough. Or I think about a teenager who wants to know why won't you let me do this? Why are you telling me I have to do this? Whatever it is. And usually, especially for a teenager, they really are not wanting to know why, because as an answer to satisfy them, they want to know why so that they can argue with you, because your why is not going to be good enough for them. And those of you that have raised teenagers, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I think that really we're in a situation with the death of our child that we're in that same position. We can ask God why. And if He were to give us any answers, especially in that suffocating darkness, the painful time in those first few years, not just months, but years, when it's still very fresh and very raw, if He were to give us answers why, it wouldn't be good enough, would it? We would want to argue with Him and tell Him why that's not a good enough reason, and why we want our child back, and why He should have never taken our child. And so what I suggest is that to get to a point where instead of asking why, you start asking how. We need to ask how. How, God, how are you going to get me through this? How are you going to get me out of this darkness? How are you going to help me even want to live again beyond the death of my child? How are you going to this whole verse about God working everything out for our good. Yeah, right, God. How are you going to do that? How are you going to do a miracle and turn this into something good? I cannot see that happening, God. So how are you going to do it, huh? And so for me to make that shift from asking why, which really isn't going to help us at all, whether we get answers or not, it's not going to be helpful, but to start asking how. How, God, are you going to get me out of this darkness? How are you going to help me through this? So that's just my word for today. I hope that helps you and encourages you some. And I also hope that you connect with us at GPS Hope. Look us up on our website, www.gpshope.org. You can find us on Facebook, and connect with us. We have a lot of resources for you, and subscribe to this channel if you want to know whenever I try to get out here every week and send out an encouraging word for those of us who have lost a child. It's good for us to hang out together. It's very healing and very helpful. So hopefully you'll connect with us in some way, and we'll see you back here next week.